back with you. Uh, Today I just got through watching a video, and it's just the kind of information that uh, there may be a lot of emotion about these kind of things. There's people who are on board with things. There's people who are totally against things. But this is a little bit too important because this is really life and death, and for some people. So I hope you won't turn me off as I get talking about this. I know for myself, you know, I've just tried to do what's practical, or what's logical for myself. But I want to share this about related to the bird flu, etc. And not just the bird flu, but other illnesses that we've had the last 3, 4, 5 years now. When we had the big worldwide pandemic issue, obviously there's a lot of people who at least went out and took the first solution, at least one solution shot. I'm convinced personally that that solution was in many cases placebo. I think it. I personally think it came out. Please listen to the whole video here. I'm just trying to give you where I'm coming from with things. As I studied, as I watched, paid attention, it sort of struck me that there were certain localities that seemed to be having an issue with the solution. People who were having their faces become numb, people who were having heart problems, rashes, all kind of things. And it was a lot of people. It was a lot of people who, in a normal, historically, with the use of historic vaccines, this kind of thing didn't happen. And if it did, then they would pull it off the market after 5, 10, 50 people, 50 at the most. 50 people have a problem, it's off the market. And that didn't happen in this particular case. So we were able to see, and also normally these things don't happen where everybody in the whole population just about takes it all at one time. So, these things became very obvious that there was a problem. You might not have had a problem, and there might not have been anybody in your immediate sphere of friends and family or co-workers who had a problem. And this is why I'm convinced that they didn't have enough as you remember, it was a rushed situation. They got things out like that. Well, they didn't produce enough. I think that a lot of those vaccines were salt water. Okay, saline solution. The same thing they put into you to keep you hydrated at the hospital when you go in, right? If you got a problem. So I think that's what happened. And so there were some people who had severe problems, and then there was large chunks of population that didn't. And it struck me, this is just my opinion, but as I looked at things, it sort of struck me that there's certain areas in the country, and I think it tended to be areas where the population, the leadership, etc., in that area of the country was going to support this solution regardless. And in areas where the leadership was not going to support it if there was any problems, that's where the placebo went. So in my state, we did not have huge problems. I'm not saying nobody had a problem, and I'm not saying they didn't send some solution to my state, but there weren't anybody in my state that got it. I'm just thinking that probably 90% of the people didn't get it who took the first shot. As you might have seen me talk about before, I didn't take it. I didn't take it because I was already convinced that the ideas about vaccines were not what they promoted. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. It's just that I'm old enough to take the flu vaccine and the shingles vaccines. This is something they push on my age group, And as I listened to the people who were given the vaccines, the things they were saying, well, it didn't work last year, but this year's a good one. Well, that's if it. How do we know this year's a good one? How do you know that? You don't know it until next year. In fact, in the video down below, the doctor's talking about the this year's flu vaccine. Obviously, wasn't a very good flu vaccine because why? Because so many people's getting the flu this year. Okay, so, but of course I made up my mind about this years ago, and as I've said before, look, my father had shingles. Man, he had bad, bad, bad shingles. If anybody would like to not have shingles, it's me. But I'm not going to take that shingle vaccine. Now, that's just me. You can do what you want to do. I'm not telling anybody what you ought not to do or not to do. But I want to talk about this video down below that I think it's critical that we all watch so that you are informed. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to agree with it or anything, but you need to be informed. Now, the interviewer, this is something he's been interviewing people about for the last 3 or 4 years, okay? And he gets agitated about it because he cares. He cares. This is not a guy who's trying to sell you anything. He doesn't get agitated to sell you. He cares. That's the kind of guy he is. And it really aggravates him that things have gone as far as they have. So anyway, they start out talking about the bird flu vaccine. Now this and McCullough, the doctor who has been at the forefront of this thing, this guy got like censored by his state ethics board, not because what he was saying was a lie, because they're crooked. Okay, because people don't want organizations, institutions that have a particular orthodoxy do not like to have their orthodoxy challenged. And they will go after you and get rid of you. And this is every institution in the world, y'all. Religious, anything. Political, educational. You do not want to mess with the orthodoxy. If you're not very influential, okay. If you're over here in the far periphery, hardly anybody listening to you, they'll let you run your mouth. They don't care. But if you start getting real attention, they don't like it. And that's what he ran into, okay? And now there's like-minded physicians and scientists from all over the nation have come together in different kind of organizations, and he has the one that he's part of. But he talks about the bird flu. The bird flu, which, from what he says, that it appears to have come out of a mallard duck that was being experimented with in Athens, Georgia, and it escaped. And it's flying, it started flying around and hanging out with other mallard ducks. And so this bird flu is getting scattered all over the nation. And it's hard to stop it because it's in wild bird populations. I don't think it's a natural bird. And they had it in the laboratory, right? So it's something that they were fooling with. Now, so if you're afraid of, there are things you can do. Listen to this entire video below and learn. Learn about your options. Okay? You can take whatever option. You can go to your doctor. If your doctor doesn't believe in anything that this guy says, this other MD says, and his group of people says, then do what you want to do. I go to my doctor and I often tell my doctor what he's going to do. All he's telling me is what the standard protocol is for his organization, where they get paid the best. Okay? And I'll tell my doctor, no, we're not doing that. Okay? You can just lay down and let your doctor do anything you want to. Okay? But I don't do that. But it's important to know a couple of things, or several things that I think you need to know about. First of all, they're trying this bird flu vaccination. Remember, the word vaccination is not what it used to be. They've changed it in the last 5 years or so that they include the junk that they're now putting in what they call quote unquote vaccination. The vaccination used to be where you took the agent and you stuck it into a diluted agent, put it in, or flu, whatever it is, put it into the victim's body, and my personal body creates the antibodies or whatever to fight that. I'm not a doctor, I'm a scientist. Antibodies, antigens, whatever it is, to fight that. Your own body creates the ability to fight it. This mRNA stuff, messenger RNA, it's changing your DNA. It's got spike protein that stays in your body and affects you for months. He said, let's see, up to 709 days they found that spike protein is in people's body from people who've had maybe longer, but they found it to that point at least. 709 days circulating in people's bodies. And this is tearing your body up, y'all. Okay? It's creating all these side effects. It's coming from that spike protein. The DNA gets changed. You're not able to fight things. So people who normally would be able to fight off a flu, fight off a cancer, your body would naturally be doing it. It's not able to do it. Anytime, we all know this isn't new. Anytime your body is so overwhelmed with so many things that it has to fight to stay alive, sometimes it just can't do it. And those people get sick and die. So what you want to do is you want to be healthy, right? And so take your vitamin D, your vitamin C, your vitamin K, etc., etc. Magnesium, zinc. You need to be taking that stuff because you're not getting it in your food today. Our food isn't what it was 100 years ago. Let me keep going. If you've for this bird flu, they're going to be vaccinating these birds, okay? And it's going to have the mRNA stuff and the spike protein in it, okay? McCullough says what you need to do is, that he does, I eat sunny side up eggs in the morning very often. No more sunny side up. He says you need to cook food to over 165 degrees, and this should what he called denature the genetic material in the vaccines. So from now on, Mark is having hard-boiled eggs and scrambled eggs. No more sunny side up. Okay, because the material is in that egg. Now, if I'm getting an egg from a local farm, and that I know that their chickens haven't been vaccinated or anything, okay, no problem. That'd be one thing. Now, McCullough himself, he said he's not an anti-vaxxer. He said he counted it up. He's had 40 flu shots in his life. So but he's not taking them anymore. Okay. And you should. There's all kind of vaccines now that have the mRNA. There is a COVID vaccine. He said, and I don't. You listen to the video. He mentions the name of this COVID vaccine that doesn't have mRNA in it. But what he suggests doing is doing nasal sprays and gargles twice a day, and he'll explain that. You can listen to them talk. So if you've taken the shot, then he talks a lot about how you can detox from the shot to get the spike proteins out, to get the mRNA out, etc., out of your body. Things that he does with his patients. He talks about there's a lot of people who now have no problem with ivermectin or hydrochloroquine. It's all fine to take vitamin C, etc. Those are all good to fight a virus, but they do not get rid of this spike protein and mRNA. Okay, I wanted to share this with you because it's important. You may not have a problem. In fact, you might have taken shots over several years ago, and maybe you've been doing good because you haven't been exposed to anything that your body hasn't to this point been able to fight. And I think that's why we keep seeing these things happen. People who might have taken the vaccine 4 years ago, and they're just just in the last year they've had some problem, a heart attack, blood clots, strokes, whatever. Because it just took a while for these things to do, and their particular body. We're all a little bit different, right? But regardless, you you need to be aware. You need to be aware. Make up your own mind about what you want to do. It's your life, your body, right? But you need to have knowledge. Knowledge is power. And as you hear me in most of these videos with Lakir, I'm all about finding the truth. And I believe if you turn to your God, to our Creator, and you ask Him to help you find the truth, and all you care about is the truth, then you're going to find the truth. If you want to hang on to what you think is true because you're comfortable with it, well, you're going to hang on to that. Seek truth. Have a good day.